Bam! Anna Karenina, Anna Karenina. Leo Tolstoy wrote this book. I just finished it. It took me 9 months to finish this book, and not because it's a horrible book. I actually enjoyed a lot of parts of it, but because the names are very long, very Russian, a lot of characters, a lot of action going on. Um, Political talk, war talk, but plus, like I read like 10 books at the same time. So, what do I think about Anna Karenina? Powerful book, powerful. Um, Tolstoy really paints rich characters and makes you feel like you're living in that time period. What is this book about? Without any spoilers, it's about sometimes getting what you want is not what you need. That's what I took away from this book. A lot of times we pursue a love interest, we pursue a job, we pursue a car, material thing, or maybe even status. And then when we get there, we realize that by getting that thing that we were chasing, we lose this other thing. Something always has to be sacrificed. When you think about Tarzan swinging through the jungle, in order for him to reach the vine in front of him, he has to let go of the vine behind him. And sometimes we don't stop to think about what we're letting go to pursue what we have, and that's what tortured her. And to be honest, I think Anna was tortured from the beginning because the other part of it is society, right? In that the book talks about, and I wouldn't even say talks about, what I got from the book is that it's not always what we do that causes us despair. It's our what we think other people will think and how we're judged by others and society, right? So because there's so many different views on marriage and relationships and work and status that maybe what's in your heart, what you want to achieve, what you want to do, how you want to express yourself, how you want to connect. Maybe your family looks down on it, the country, the time period. There's just so many different ways that we can be judged and shamed for what we want to pursue. And then also sometimes where we're constricted, where, women, this was late 1800s. So women at that time, this was set in Russia, um, very constricted with what they could do in the world and in life. And marriage was the only way. So imagine if you're a woman and you can't really hold office, you can't get a well-paying job, and if you're single, something must be wrong with you. You have to be married at a very young age. So the only chance for happiness is to marry someone that will make you happy, or to be in a relationship where you can flourish. And if you cap out on that, I mean, then you gotta hope that if you have kids, that the kids are, cool. Like there's just so much out of a woman's control. Um, from what the book is talking about at this time period in Moscow. Because women in other parts of the world, I'd be interested to read about other women's experiences in other parts of the world, and in tribal parts, because they talk about, I think it was St. Petersburg. Don't quote me on this, where the energy was different, where people, it was kind of like the Amsterdam of the time, where things were a bit everything more, you know, uh, things were more acceptable. People were freer to be and do what they wanted to do, and there weren't all these constrictions. But in Moscow, it was very strict. It was very traditional, very religious, and everybody knew everybody. And there were consequences, if you wanted to divorce or split up. So I know I'm not telling you a lot about this book, but it's too hard. The one character, my favorite character in the book is Levin, who I'm told is based off of Tolstoy himself. And the reason why I connect with Levin so much is because he's a man born of nobility, with good money, but he finds that he finds his serenity and his tranquility working in the fields with the peasants. I've never said peasants or read the word peasant so many times in my life, but that's where he's like, these are my people, and he loves the physical labor of swinging a scathe. I think a scathe or scythe, the thing that they use to chop the clear the fields, right? And he just loves that, right? Versus being all suited and booted all the time, and all that. He loves the physicality. He loves the camaraderie that comes with working out in the fields with the peasants. So I really connected with him with that, and towards the end of the book, his perspective on life, it's beautiful because towards the end of the book, okay, I'm gonna turn this off if you don't want to hear spoilers. Okay, I'm warning you, I'm about to spoil the ending, but it's only because I want to talk about the end of the book. Where so after Anna Karenina ends her life, um, I I was like, man, that's like a sad ending. I was like, wow. I was like in a lot of despair, and I actually wanted to stop reading the book. But then when he continued on with that last chapter about how Levin started to view life and started to pick up the pieces and found peace and solace in just doing the work every day. There's a part where Levin talks about at the end where he used to do things for other people, for his country, for God. And he said that motivation wasn't enough. It wasn't sustainable. And it wasn't until he started doing things for himself that he found the power and sustainability to get up and get going and do the dang thing, right? So, and that speaks to me because our relationship with external things is so transient. I mean, as is the relationship with ourselves, but sometimes you don't like your country. You don't like the kind of business that they're conducting, the sanctions they're putting on other countries, who they're going to war with, and sometimes you're at odds with God, and and if you're doing things for your family, well, I mean, let's be honest, like our family members, they can get on our nerves or say something, and so then we can. It's very easy to sabotage ourselves when we're attaching ourselves and our happiness to external things. So to bring it back to self, to bring it back um, to being good, he just decided, I'm just gonna try to do. I'm just gonna focus on doing good, just the next good thing, the next right thing. And I love that the book ended like that. It because there's so much chaos and turmoil and infidelity and fear and angst and death. And so to close it off with that ribbon, so to speak, I was like, thank you, Tolstoy. I really appreciated that. You gave me the Russian novel, which is always heavy, um, but you closed it off with something that that'll stick with me forever. So it's a reread. This book is definitely a book that you have to read like 10 or 12 times. Seriously. It's one of those books that keep giving back. Some books you try to, and I've only read this once, so maybe I'll read it a second time and be like, sorry guys, that wasn't the truth. But incredible book. Pick it up. Take your time with it. Savor it. Savor it. Stay tuned for my next one.